everyone. Welcome to the Lawyer Lifter podcast, or Mel's Minutes, where I talk about lifting, life, and business. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Lawyer Lifter podcast. And what is it now? I am approaching 3 weeks exactly tomorrow. My son will be exactly 3 weeks old from his birth, June 28th. And we had just come off of that birth story. And now what's happening now? A lot of things, and I think a lot of things that are topics that don't really get discussed. You hear it kind of on the down low here and there during pregnancy and also on social media, this thing called the fourth trimester. And I will say that, and you guys know, I have a reputation of being extremely stoic, extremely hard, very unemotional and aggressive, but there is a huge surge of hormones that enters your body, first leaves your body, and then other hormones that enter your body to repair whatever damage that happened during delivery/labor, and also to now become a food producer. And I think during the 9 months I was pregnant, I always kind of was like, yeah, like I didn't really ponder too much about like the body in terms of hormones. What I did ponder, coming from my powerlifting background, my competitive powerlifting background, is just when will I be able to get medical clearance to start rehabilitating and rebuilding my muscle to get back on the competitive platform? And that's what my focus was on. And also, will I need to do any pelvic floor repair, whatever. My mind never went into the mental and emotional shift that comes from, seriously, like hormones. I cannot tell you how many times I've cried or been in utter anguish or crazy, just roller coaster since my son has been born. And it really, really makes you want to isolate yourself, to just go into like a hole and wallow. But that's not the time to do that. And so I wanted to share just how real it is postpartum. I mean, everybody, you guys know that I had some serious physical issues postpartum, but also I am very much struggling postpartum mentally and emotionally, not to the extent, according to my therapist, where it's something where, I need to be medicated or whatever. But I actually I forced myself to maintain a therapy session with my therapist the other day. And I actually begged her for meds because I could not deal with the ups and downs and the insanity of the hormones surging through my body, which have just caused such a emotional roller coaster. One of the big things I think that doesn't get said much on social media is this view of women just flowing with milk and just being able to feed their children or their babies. And I actually told myself before Winter was born, oh yeah, if I can't be a food producer or whatever, I'm totally chill with that. But lo and behold, when you become a mother, you do want to do absolutely everything, and you want to be able to feed, obviously, basic necessities. You want to be able to feed your kid. And so because of the postpartum hemorrhaging that I experienced, there has been a delay in my milk supply. So it's actually pretty, from what I understand, from the village. The only thing I'm really, really grateful for is having the faith and the know-how, which I really encourage all of you guys to do, is to create a village before you give birth. You know, having a doula, having a night nanny, having your pediatrician, your OBGYN, your therapist, like really forcing yourself to build that village that you will tap into, because the desire to just go into a hole and wallow and be ostracized and be lonely and think it's all you and baby is insane. It's completely insane. And I think a lot also, appreciation needs to be put like on the forefront with how much you change. You know, like you can't just, me coming from a position where I could come and go, you know, my life revolved around my law firm, my business, and also, you know, working out and competing and just, you know, doing whatever. It just, now you want to just be all about your kid. And that is a huge shift. I think that being 38, I am very happy that I am this older. I am older like this because there is no way, financially speaking, mentally speaking, emotionally speaking, I could ever do what I'm doing or meet those challenges in my early 30s, in my late 20s. No way. I know myself in that way. And I think that for all the women out there who are just like trying to create earmarks, you don't have to you don't have to rush. And also, like, the body is an amazing thing. I hear it also from a lot of women, like, oh, I don't know if I can conceive this late in the game. And it's like, listen, if I can conceive, you can conceive. And I say that, I know there's other medical issues, but really, at the end of the day, all I ever did was download an app, the Flow app. I just continued to lift, continued to do me. And it's so funny. I'm pretty sure I was high when we conceived, and we conceived. So age and whatever you used to do to your body shouldn't make you feel afraid. But circling back, the shift in having this, what, my son at birth was 7 pounds 7 ounces, having this 7-pound kid just rattle your entire existence should be appreciated. And also back to this whole like social media portraying women to just be like gushing, like just gallons, I mean, I'm exaggerating, just gushing milk. That's I learned that is not all women. In fact, 70% of women struggle with breastfeeding and milk supply, because you don't just whip out your boob and then all of a sudden, you know, it's actually a great effort to breastfeed. So let me tell you, like, number one, I had no idea there were stages of milk, right? From when you first give birth, like, you're producing what they call colostrum, and it's a little bit, and that's enough for your baby because your baby's tummy is like really tiny. But baby also doesn't know how to suckle. They've been in your womb with a tube attached to them, so they didn't have to like digest, they didn't have to like move their mouth, they didn't have to make any effort to get fed. So here's mom, here's baby, we have no fucking idea what we're doing, and somehow what's portrayed is like, boom, you both know what you're doing. That's absolutely not true. My nipples were sore and chafed and bloody, and you just cry because you're just like, why isn't this working out? And I just want to dispel that myth. Like, it's okay if you struggle, because it's actually very difficult for you and your kid to learn. You both are learning, and there's something called like latching onto your boob, right? And I think a lot of women have there's also like body issues too that women go through, like your body is repairing itself, like you're seeing it change. You're expending so many calories at the same time. For one, I think being older, I don't really look at my boobs as being like something sexual during this time. But it's like, I think women, there are some who would have some difficulty with that shift from, oh, my boobs are like a attractive point or a point of sexuality. They still are, but you just shift into, well, now biologically, like they're making milk. Your kid like is depending on you to create sustenance. And so I learned right off the bat, like that there's struggle to get your kid to like latch onto your boob. Then on top of that, like they don't know like how to like suckle. So my kid, he latches pretty well, but like he bites. Like what he's like, so he would just chomp. And that obviously is painful, even though he's got no teeth. And like he's learning, right? And the thing about the very basic, like very crazy about the body is that the milk supply is like a supply and demand. So your body with the hormones will make milk if there is a demand for milk. So in order for someone like me who's not just like flowing milk, like I don't just, empty, like just cans like filled with milk. I really, really have to work on that milk supply because I had lost so much blood. So that kind of puts that behind, and I have to work at signaling to my body, make more milk. So I'm in this constant like cycle for now. I mean, I told you guys, like I'm postpartum 3 weeks starting like as of tomorrow. And I'm in this like, sometimes I'm nursing, but actually every 2 hours I'm religiously pumping. And that's because I want to give my kid like breast milk. I'm trying to build a supply because I work. Like I work, and that leads me to the criticism that I actually get now more than ever. Like, why am I not taking like, loads of time on maternity? I want to. I do, but to feed my family, I have to work. That's just, and so, however, I think I still stand by my belief that women can do it all. It's just going to look different, and it's going to be hard as fuck. Like that, this is super hard for me. I'm going to just completely let everybody know it is super hard. It's hard to be a lawyer. It's hard to run a law firm where I think a lot of people actually don't know. Uplift Law has no other partners, has no other owners. It's only Mel. So I am very proud of the fact that Uplift Law is now like comprised of, I believe, like we have 10 team members, including attorneys that, I mean, they don't do shit unless I bless it, which is huge for the law firm because the quality of work is always stellar. We all know what's going on. Hence, the leader has to come back to the law firm. But I'm also a mom dealing with all these hormonal shifts, which suck. So I've had to really block off some time during my work day to just focus on work and then go away to deal with whatever emotions I'm having and then hang out with my kid. And I think I don't know society-wise when we're going to catch up with really honoring women and their journey into motherhood, because I can only do what I'm doing because I work from home, because I run my own business. And I do want to hand it to women who are in W-2 positions, who are employees, who go in office, or who have those jobs where they have to be physically present. And, I don't know. I don't know why other countries really, honor their women, honor their mothers, when we're the only ones who can create life. I don't know when that's going to change for the United States and change more drastically for California. And what's funny is that my law firm, we don't represent plaintiff employment litigants, employees. We represent the employers. So I now have more of an appreciation and more of a soft spot for my employers who are business owners, to, if you're running W-2 employees, to think about what just huge changes happen to women when they become mothers. And I will tell you, I'm not one to exaggerate, as you guys know, and all of the things that I'm saying are completely real. For example, what do I know? My son, in the 3 weeks he's been alive, has had a heat rash and projectile vomited milk, and I've died. I've literally died because, number one, being a first-time mom, you're both your strongest and weakest at the same time. It's really crazy. And you just worry. You're in this perpetual state of worry. I've caught myself looking at my kid, wondering, what is this? What is just looking for things to worry about. And so it's a very, don't tell my enemies, but yeah, for once in my entire life, I have literally found my match in a baby. And it's quite surreal, and it's insane. So at the end of the day, I think that, we all should really probably just not look at social media during this time, but really kind of look at it in a more, if you are more critical, in that it's not pretty 24/7. Do I have moments where I'm just wow, I cannot believe I made this human being, I'm so happy, but there are really, really ugly moments where you're sad, you're angry, you're lonely, you don't know who you are, but you wonder okay, when will I get back to her, or how will that change? And it's really, I hate to just keep saying it, it's nuts. It's your hormones, and you have to let it wash through you, but also have some grace, which is why this episode is really dedicated to, the beginnings of the fourth trimester. We just kind of forget about women once they pop the baby out. We just kind of think oh, they're cool, they have a baby, everything's chill. No, there's no freaking manual. There's no help unless you seriously go seek it, or you have the resources, which is another catastrophe, I think, as well. If you don't have resources, then you are really left alone to figure things out, and you really shouldn't have to figure things out. I will also say the reason I'm such a proponent of having kids a little later in life is because I can't even imagine procreating with someone who's not ride or die, your person. it is so, a shout out to the single parents, the young parents out there. It is so freaking difficult. Like that teamwork, that like bond you have with your husband or your partner or your whatever it is has to be completely strong. And on top of that, when you insert this like human being that you have to keep alive, it also shows where the strengths and weaknesses are in your own relationship. This is so for everybody out there who just thinks that motherhood right after birth is just like, oh, glorious. It is. But we need to also be real and discuss and talk about the fact that after delivery, after baby, it can be very ugly, and reach out. Talk to your friends who've just given birth. Be supportive. It's a very temporary time in which we become crazy or whatever. But be there for them. And also, like, in a very non-Mel way, my OBGYN and my pediatrician have they were talking to me about, don't obsess over this breast milk situation. It's really, really hard not to, because as a mom, you want to be able to feed your kid your own stuff. But they have kept saying to me this phrase, fed is best, which means feed your kid, whatever you can feed your kid. That is one small part of being a mom, is breast milk. One small part in one section of their life. And do all you can do. So I'll share my milk situation as we go along. I am on, it's insane how this has changed me, as an athlete. I didn't even really take supplements. Like I would take creatine and I would have protein, but that's it, right? And it's so funny now postpartum, I am like literally taking all the lactation protein, all the lactation supplements, all the lactation snacks, just to inspire more milk production, since I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball given what had happened postpartum hemorrhaging. So, I do want to share this journey. I do want to say that not everything on social media is the same for everybody. And in fact, the truth is that 70%, as I mentioned, of women struggle with their milk supply in the beginning. It ultimately, with a lot of effort comes. But again, breastfeeding isn't like whip out your boob and your kid just knows. It's so hard. It is so frustrating. It is so challenging and hurtful. But the thing is, like, your kid doesn't even know. Like, your kid just wants to be with you. Obviously needs to be fed. Again, fed is best. I am trying to tell myself that all the time. My kid has breast milk and then tops off with formula and is eating like every 2.5 hours. So hopefully that milk supply will come in relatively soon. But also for the working moms out there too, it sucks. It does. It really, I've had to now invest in a second breast pump because the breast pump that I have from insurance that was free, Spectra, is just not working for my mobility and just kind of my work environment. And then, there's so many just hiccups with pumping too, no one talks about it. Getting the right shit to fit you, not, so that it doesn't hurt, or like it's squeezing you the right way, getting the right bra. It's like, it's insane the amount of money to invest, and then also just the mental and emotional anguish as well that goes into this entire process. Like, if you heard my husband's still on PTO, thank God. We're looking for like a daytime nanny part-time, but it's so insane. You have to actually will yourself out of the house and go back slowly into real life. It's so, for everybody out there, this is part 1 of Mel's postpartum journey. I am just, don't even trip. I am just waiting for medical clearance to get back into the gym. Hopefully that happens in 4 weeks. And also I am waiting for my son to get his shots, which happens when he's 2 months, because bet that he and I will be back at the gym lifting heavy. So stay tuned for another episode of Lawyer Lifter Podcast. And that wraps up the Lawyer Lifter Podcast, aka Mel's Minutes. Catch this episode on Apple or Spotify. See you next time.